This strange flat territory appeared here long before me, and my role is to do something completely new with it. The largest meth farm in the world, designed using noise, a blender, and mathematical functions all in one video. But we should start from December 20 Shika, 2022. After a relatively well-deserved ban on Capiland, I kept playing with Smurf accounts for a while and helped to get the server back on its feet, but the desire for something more was growing. Then I discovered the beautiful vast world of tech servers. Oh yes, the very ones where people spend a lot of time building something that will later save them a lot of time. And my choice is full lifetime. To be honest, I was only accepted there. Plus, there is a cubic meter playing a role. After proving my extraordinary usefulness in building a massive wall almost solo, and earning a well-deserved role as a full member of the server, I had to find a new pursuit. And I found it. This is suspicious territory, the perfect place for the biggest meth farm in history. 24 years old, over 2000 shots per hour, and many hours working on a project that lasted for 7 months. Let's start with the basics. To build a good farm, you need to dig a good hole. And as we know, there are a huge number of ways to dig a pit in this game. The first one is obviously to dig. Please don't do this. The second option is to use dynamite. Eating Rimmer is not suitable for us, because we don't want to break the blocks for which everything started. There is only one option left. Geese? No, not those. The most inefficient, inconvenient and slowest method possible, which took more than 2 weeks. But in the end, all we have left is a small pit and a bunch of boxes. But what if you're an ugly territory around? And this is just the place for our good old friends. Four times, 4 separate plots, a week's work and a lot of effort. Oh, and I was too lazy to demolish the ranches, so I ruined
Used
them.
an incredible cubic orbital cannon.
So we took a shower, touched the grass, we can go back to work.
Alright, let's say we found a place, dug a hole, what's next? Turns out there's this wonderful mod. Without it, such a project would have been unlikely. It's called Geodesy. With it, you can easily and simply design farm amethytics on flying machines. Although it's simple, I had to repeat it 24 times, which isn't exactly fast. But I managed. When everything was ready, the question arose how to connect all this. First, I decided to do this using scaffolding, the only reasonable way to transmit a signal upwards. After designing the farm and preparing everything, I gave up. I was too tired and went to play other games. Yes. A month of unabated fun has passed, and I remembered. Maybe it's time to return and finish this endless project? To proceed, I had to come up with a design. I obviously started with the perimeter and walls. Paul decided to create something like a fog, covered with glass using the brilliant method of shadow items for convenient block installation. But there was still a problem. The project was too important for me to neglect the design. And then I stumbled upon a very interesting function in World Edit completely by accident. I discovered the incredible power that the Gen team represents. Carefully adapting the commands of a guy named Mholt from Twitter, I managed to achieve an amazing result in just a few tries, which I enhanced and colored to create the wall. A Minecraft masterpiece that looks good, both with shaders and without them. But then the main question arose. Build the wall in version 1.18 using shadow items to not replenish resources and save a lot of time, but still manage to set up light posts. Because waiting for the server 1.19 update, and only then building everything at once. My choice obviously fell on the first option. With the lobster came a problem. I needed more than 350,000 light blocks for automatic wall construction. Just at this moment, I accidentally made one of my old videos completely useless and completely accidentally built a farm, generating about 200,000 Jebusvets per hour. This, by the way, is a world record. After which this problem was solved forever. So what about the farm itself? Her size scared everyone off. I offered money for her arrangement. People declined. I made it wireless for the convenience of designing, but people kept refusing. I figured out that wireless was unreliable and rolled everything back. Still no takers. I was beginning to lose hope when suddenly a one-out one appears. She comes and says, let's make a huge crystal. I've already made pieces. Twirl everything, put in place. And then I joined in. And remembered, there's also an ingenious thing called Blender, a 3D modeling software. For it, there's an even cooler thing that allows transferring 3D models into Minecraft. And then I think everything is clear. Taking a 3D model made by a one-out crystal, I started to rotate and insert it into the program, trying to close all the farms and make the most suitable shape. And I managed to do something. This is a completely white floor, but a beautifully shaped crystal, almost perfect design. And here everyone understood, coloring it, to put it mildly, would be painful. We tried to do this once, but I wouldn't say it went very well. Then, another savior steps onto the scene. A real professional of world editing sends me the perfect colored cross embellished with complex commands just a few hours later. But he assured me that he himself does not know how this happened, so I can't tell. And at that moment I realized, everything is finally ready. The project is on the home stretch after so many months. But I didn't say that almost all of this was in creative mode, and needed to be transferred to survival. That's what I did. And now, realizing that the hardest is already behind, I filled with zeal to finish it as soon as possible, began to linger. Yesterday we started the walls. Along with the player and the leader, we built a wall of 300,000 blocks in just a couple of days, thanks to shadow items, a few hours spent in the game. That day, after its construction, the process predictably stopped. I couldn't continue working without version 19.4, and it was still very far away. And suddenly they find a shocker suppressor, and the server update turns from imaginary to very real and extremely fast event. In anticipation of this great day, I started building the farms themselves. It was 24 farms combined into one. Having waited for the returnees to update, I finished the frog light farm, sewing frogs into it. So I fired it up. And once I had the necessary amount, I started building the wall using an automatic machine. It took about 3 days and only 3 breakdowns, but the final look started to take shape. One thing was left. The most important thing. It was the farm design. The structure of 245,000 blocks, which would have taken weeks to build even in theory, was the next step. But at that moment I realized I can't keep pulling this project nearly solo anymore. And I decided to organize an event. 13 people, some of whom you see on the screen, came and started building. 4 hours and 17 minutes. Judging by everything, an absolute record for building such a large survival structure. And now, after 7 months, with a total of over 2 million blocks installed, a ton of pain and suffering, this project is finally finished. All 24 parts of the farm work perfectly, and have brought in a few double chests of shulkers and mules over time. I don't know if I'll have the strength to repeat something remotely similar in the near future, or I'll just be making Minecraft guides, but we'll know that later. I hope you enjoyed this video right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment and maybe even join my Discord.